Hey guys. So here we have war number 9 of the season, and on this thing fight, I lose my streak. And yeah, I'm gonna talk about this while this connection issues goes on. There's been a lot of connection issues recently for Kabam. Obviously, this didn't play a part in my death at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. Just trying to fill the time so there's not more blank space. But yeah, as you can see, it's taken a while to load in. I'm making sure I've got my Wi-Fi connected. I check and I see it's connected, but it's just not loading, and I get the red symbol of death, and thankfully we do eventually load in. But yeah, Kabam, after the hotfix, there's been just a lot of lag and loading issues. Thankfully, no in-fight lag for me yet. And yeah, this thing fight, it just goes really poorly, man. This is not a particularly difficult fight. Like, this is a fight I should solo literally every time. And yeah, I make some poor decisions and play pretty poorly in this fight. And yeah, it just leads to me losing my streak. And just goes to show, no matter how good of a player, easy fights can always trip you if you're not going in and making smart decisions. And deaths just always happen. They're a part of the game mode. You know, I can't be too mad. 134 is what I ended my streak on. 134, it's an amazing streak. Like, 134 is just outstanding. Takes a lot of time and a lot of consistency and a lot of effort to get to 134. So I'm not mad about ending on 134 at all. But yeah, here we've already eaten 2 combos. We've lost our invuln, of course. And yeah, this fight, we're cornered. And that's the real danger of this fight, is if you get cornered, and you're not good at corner play, like myself. And you'll see, this plays into my death a lot, because I am just really bad at corner play versus Thing. I've spoken about this in this Thing fight a bunch of times whenever I've taken it. I am not good at the corner play versus Thing. And you see here, he's kind of holding on to specials, just in a very awkward spacing to hold on to specials. Like, he's not throwing anything here. So I try to bait the L2 next, and I'm like, okay, maybe he will throw this. And we don't have much space to dex around with. And I shouldn't have done this combo. That was a bad decision. And then I just get panicking because I can't dex these heavies reliably. And yeah, what I should have done is eaten this L3. Just eat the L3 without throwing my L3. And then this would let me, whenever I get out of his L3 animation, I would have the Fury for my own L3. And I would be able to knock down, remove the protection. And it would let me just get out of the corner, and all that poor spacing would be unstoppable and unblockable. But I don't do this. And you're going to see, you really can't recover from a Thing L3 if you don't have an L3 of your own. And this was just a really poor decision in the heat of the moment. And yeah, I also should have thrown this L1 right here. But I just misclicked and I didn't get the L1 thrown. And yeah, and this gives him too many rock stacks. And this was a bad time to throw the L1. And then we do this, and yeah, it's just death. I can't dex that heavy, so we died. I didn't record the cleanup of the fight. It was just 15% left. It went about as smoothly as it can. I just couldn't throw mediums because second life mediums trigger protection. But yeah, I don't know where the recording for that Thing fight on the cleanup went, but obviously I didn't die with 14% left. And yeah. So for this kitty fight, it's a bit of a longer fight with G99. I just want to take it patiently, throw my specials for knockdowns, don't ever parry kitty, and bait L1s and do intercepts, and we can do sidesteps to get openings. Due to G99's really massive light reach, you can just sidestep fairly reliably. And due to her nice dash back and light intercepts and medium intercepts, I think she's a really great option for this, because you can get openings fairly freely from sidesteps and intercepts. And due to her massive armor, if you do get hit, it's not the end of the world. The main issue is feeding Kitty prowess if she crits you, which does suck, but again, not the end of the world. And yeah, you want to try and get a lot of damage while you get this Fury up, but of course the AI tries to play passive during your Fury, so you do have to keep that in mind for when you're using your Fury. And yeah, I should have probably thrown the L1 right there because it would have power drained her at the perfect time. You'll see in a little bit of a later time, I throw the L1 at kind of a poor time that power drains her under a bar, whereas you want her just at a bar, and you see I'm just a little bit light of her L1, and that was an accidental parry. It happens, but not the end of the world, because you're fine unless she gets like 3 prowess, so, 1 prowess, not the end of the world at all. And yeah, just keep baiting these L1s, getting your ins, and throwing those specials. We're about 2 minutes in, and there's no real risk of timing out at this point. None of that, and yeah, the combo ends it. We get pretty good RNG on those degens. And now, for this Spider-Ham fight, I had done a lot of calculations, messing around in Act 6 with 3 out of 3 Petrify and Mr. Fantastic pre-fights, to make sure I had everything set up so that I could do a parry light combo twice before he ever gets to a bar of power, and this will just let me never bait a special. And the reason I had to go overboard and do this is because I entered this second life, which makes it very, very difficult to solo this fight. If he gets a bar, it's going to be very difficult to recover from him throwing special and getting taunt. But as you can see, with all this prep, we just end the fight before any of that could ever happen. And yeah, now for this Korg fight. This Korg fight, he just has pretty hard-hitting specials. You'll see I take a lot of block damage from his L1. I would just recommend not trying to dex Korg specials if you're not 100% confident on this node. And I am trash at dexing Korg specials, so I wasn't going to be dexing any of his specials, just blocking them all. And yeah, Doom Cycle, and he'll die pretty quickly. It's not a super long Doom fight, but it's also not something like Path 5 where you end the fight in like L3 and L2 and the fight's just over super quickly. And yeah, need to make sure I'm not throwing an L2 with rock stacks, ideally, just because that would lower your damage a lot. And yeah, fairly chill fight. So yeah, we're trying to bait heavies, of course, and we don't really want to parry because that will just feed more rock stacks, and there's no real reason to. And we're getting pretty passive AI here, which is the general thing Korg does when he is out of his rock stacks. The AI tends to play pretty defensive, and then when he gets his rock stacks, he tends to play pretty aggressive. Just if any of you guys didn't know that about Korg's AI. This is, of course, just how the AI always works when they have beneficial effects themselves, or beneficial effects to the opponents. They change how they play. And yeah. And, of course, now that I have the Fury up, as I've said before, beneficial effects cause the AI to not want to play as aggressive. But it's fine because we're going to be at our L3, and this L3 cycle will just kill Korg without much actual worry for this fight. Doom has everything completely under control, even if you get as poor of AI as I was seeing in that fight, and you are awful at fighting Korg, like myself. It's perfectly fine. And now for this Mojo fight. My plan was to pop a PS1, 3 out of 3 Petrify on again, get to my L2 before he ever reaches the bar, and throw that L2, and it will kill. And as you'll see here, we get this, and we had to do the medium combo, which is bad, but we can get away with one of the medium combos, and then do a light combo. And then we'll be able to get to our L2 before he ever has a chance to throw the L1, and the fight's just over. And now, for this long shot, the plan is use the White Mag's free fight and use all of the prowesses from this node to feed Mystic Dispersion and a 200% Mystic booster to simplify the Doom cycle after Zone 3. This 200% Mystic booster allows you to shorten your combo. It's not necessarily, essential, but it is nice to simplify it so you don't have to worry about MD pushing you to an L2, which I've seen some people die to. And using the conflector and just getting screwed over. But yeah, as you can see, I'm really quickly at my L3 already. And from this point on, it's just the same L3s over and over and over again until he's dead. And you're going to see this altered Doom combo with the Mystic Power Booster that I'm taking into account for this. I'm going to try and shorten my combos as much as physically possible to not let MD feed me too much. There was a little bit of an inconsistency where I could have been pushed to 2 bars, technically, but I fired off my L1 before MD could trigger. I wouldn't recommend doing this if you're not at that level of being just super comfortable with Doom. I'd recommend just taking it slower than that, but, you know, I'm very used to all of the interactions with MD for Doom and everything. And yeah, there we just keep letting MD5 feed us, and we're off to another L3. And the fight's just steadily going down. And I believe it's on this L3 that I get a second Fury, which is going to let the fight just end that much quicker. He can nullify your L3's Furies, which is a little bit of a threat in this fight, but you see, he's not going to nullify it enough that it actually matters. And yeah, now for this Green Goblin fight. This Green Goblin fight was the main worry when I lost my second life. We had discussed it a little bit, and we were worried about the block penetration and high ground pushing you to 30% too quick. And we decided that Nick Fury was still going to be the best option, and I'm glad we did. He's definitely a fantastic option here. I wait out high ground, and there we actually get the cycle and everything. You can safely wait out those parries because you're stun immune. Even if Green Goblin were to parry you, doesn't matter. You're stun immune. We're baiting out these L1s. We don't want his L2. The first hit of his L2 is actually not unblockable in this node, but we still don't want it. Then we're just going to end the fight out with his L2, and we'll have so much damage. He does get an L2 on this fight. He throws it. I'm very good at dexing it, so it's not really a worry, but it is pretty unlucky that he would just immediately throw it. And yeah, here are the war results. It was definitely a winnable war, but we played pretty poorly, and these guys just played better than us. My friend Sam is over in ISO 8A. I'm sure he'll have a war video up sometime soon, so go check that out. And yeah, we're now 5-4 for the season, so still in a really good place to get Masters. Hopefully we can get that Masters.